In most conversations at work, talk about gender bias is usually talk about women and people who are non-binary and/or trans. Men are rarely the subject of these conversations, and that is surprising considering that men are more often than women in executive leadership roles and therefore powerful stakeholders in their organizations who would be able to drive lasting change. But there's another reason why we need to talk about masculinity at work. And that is because our organizational environments have typically operated in masculine ways. Just think about our ideas about leadership. Leadership is associated with male traits of competitiveness, confidence, decisiveness, and individualism. If organizational norms and practices foster and reward these male traits and behaviors, then this results quickly in a survival of the fittest mindset. In research, such an organizational form is called Masculinity Contest Culture. Masculinity contest cultures are organizational norms and practices that encourage and reward hyper-competitive behavior from their employees. Key characteristics of a masculine contest culture are show no weakness. In these workplaces, employees make every effort to appear tough and display swaggering self-confidence. Showing tender emotions or doubt is avoided at all costs, as this is interpreted as weakness and vulnerability. Show strength and stamina. When colleagues disappear into the gym during the lunch break because the male muscular body has to be on display, even in white-collar jobs that do not even involve manual labor, then this is not necessarily all about health, but it is also about showing strength through your body. However, strength is not only symbolized by muscles hard as steel, but also by long working hours and excessive workloads. Here too, people try to outdo each other. They work longer, they work harder, and more recently, they even work smarter than anyone else. The third characteristic of a masculinity contest culture is work devotion. Work hard hours and don't let the family interfere. This is the mantra of masculinity contest culture. Work comes first. And to be honest, this sits quite well with the rest of our society, where we prize paid labor outside of the house and devalue care work and recreational time for resting. And then there's also the dog eat dog mentality. Watch your back. Co-workers see each other not as colleagues, but as cutthroat competitors. So instead of cooperation, teamwork, and solidarity, there is an absolute elbow mentality. Employees try to boot each other out in order to move up the career ladder. So it's no surprise that offices like this suffer from high turnover rates, low levels of trust, and burnout. But they remain common because they echo the broader social construct of masculinity. The demand for men to man up and to prove that they are real men through the display of dominance, toughness, and situational aggression. You might wonder why it's called masculinity contest culture and not just contest culture, when clearly women can exhibit hyper-competitive behavior too. But there's a catch. If women behave in a hyper-competitive way, they'll most likely receive a backlash because they are violating gender norms about femininity. So while contest culture often requires everyone, including women, to behave according to masculine norms, not everyone is treated the same for buying into it. Another thing to keep in mind is that masculinity contest culture is not about man per se, nor is it about man's supposed biological drive. But it is about a culture that rewards a particular set of gendered behaviors. In other words, it is about a culture that encourages people to behave like an alpha male. And as you might know from other contexts, the alpha male position is a very difficult one because it's never safe. It must be repeatedly defended and requires constant jostling for dominance. So how could this look like in a corporate context? If you need to be tough to show people that you could dominate them, what would you do? You might yell at people in meetings and publicly humiliate them. You might try to sabotage your colleague. Or you might even sexually harass other women or other men to show them who's boss. When organizations reward those who show high levels of competitiveness, it's not surprising that this will cause damage to the culture. And the damages are well known. Masculinity Contest Culture provides a breeding ground for toxic leadership. They recruit, socialize, and retain toxic leaders who abuse not only their teams but also each other. In such a culture, there's more likely to be bullying and harassment, not only against women and non-binary people, but also against other men who do not subscribe to these alpha male traits. And, to little surprise, in such culture, you cannot establish psychological safety. This results not only in higher employee stress and work-life conflict, but it also decreases creativity and innovation. There are a few things you can do to change such a culture. The first thing is to put mission over masculinity. For example, focus on a mission like innovation. A leader could point out that innovation only thrives when people feel psychologically safe to take risks and to share new ideas. And this is only possible in a culture where you do not have to fear that somebody will bully you or boot you out to take your position. Next, when people regularly work late or brag about long working hours or laugh at offensive jokes, leaders need to dispel the misconception that everyone endorses such behaviors and publicly reject this kind of behavior. And most importantly, leaders must walk the talk. Reward people for supporting each other. Call out misconduct. Allow others to voice dissent and model respectful behaviors. Only when mission comes first can real change take place, sending masculinity contest culture into the past where it belongs.